These are my Filson Upland Boots, and I freaking love these boots. They are far from perfect, as Filson is as a company in general, but I freaking love these boots. I wore them on my hunt this summer. I got a really, really cool opportunity to hunt property with some nuisance permits, and wore these on the hunt, and I just cleaned them up, and they served me pretty well. Okay, they weren't perfect at all. They actually, I walked through a stream and they leaked, which is not something you want from a pair of upland boots. Okay, so I could probably do a whole video on why these are crap, but I like them a lot, and that's something we talked about in that Urban Wolf Club. If I think I probably will title that something like, I'm sick of cheap boots or something, or why cheap boots are expensive or something stupid like that. But these are a worse deal financially, not as good quality as those boots, but I like these more. And that's ultimately something that you should really be in touch with. It's like, are you buying a pair of boots because somebody told you that they're great? Someone told you they're a great deal? Even all the great internal leather components in the world, all the great bang for your buck, will not get you across that line of, I love these boots. You should really just get in touch with, does this boot make me feel something? Does this, will I be excited to throw these on for these to become my companions in adventure? And these boots do that for me. They're a great boot. They've got a lot of history to them. I love the tradition of upland hunting, of pheasant hunting, of all kinds of bird hunting and grouse. These would make great elk hunting boots too. I like the tradition and the history of Filson. By the way, this is both an example of great cutting, great clicking, and bad clicking, and we'll talk about that in a minute maybe. But these boots evoke a certain ruggedness and romance to me that I just love. Just the way these look, the way these are built, and the history. Something really cool about these boots, they've got Filson tin cloth inside. Yeah, these are not perfect boots. They're not perfectly waterproof. Then why would I wear them hunting? It's like, because they're comfortable and they look cool. Really, we're just gonna leave that off. Yeah, they're comfortable. They're also the right kind of boot to, I feel like I'm wearing a beautiful heritage boot that's going to age nicely, but also I'm not afraid of, destroying them, of putting them through their paces. But you've got a Vibram Montagna lug sole. You got some, bullshit fiberboard midsole. And you have a leather storm welt. And really the star of the show for me is this, like, very simple, chocolatey, thick pull-up cowhide. It's not, I don't know what tannery it's from. If I had to guess, it's from Seidel. Filson doesn't even make these boots anymore. In fact, they were made by, Weinbrenner, who makes Thorogood. They were made by Weinbrenner for a long time. And then they were moved to Portugal. They were made in Portugal for a while, and now they don't make them at all anymore. Hopefully they bring them back. But now, why did these boots leak, by the way? That's a question. I don't know. But they did leak. I was walking through a stream, and I very arrogantly was like, well, I don't got to worry about that. I got my Filson Upland boots on, and they leaked. So that sucked. Is it because they're faux moccasin, so if it got under this lip here, it just went right in there? Is it this stitch line? Did it go in there? I don't know. But these are they're killer boots. They look nice. They inspire me. There's a beautiful history and heritage to them. They look like the kind of boots that people were wearing in the 50s, doing all kinds of hunting, post-World War II, when hunting really exploded because a lot of, young men came back and they were very familiar with how to use firearms, and they were also in need of outdoor recreation and, kind of be in the outdoors, deal with your PTSD or shell shock, as they called it. And hunting really exploded in the United States. And it was also part of a great movement towards great conservation laws and, looking after our wildlife and our natural habitats and places. So, this boot kind of speaks to that history. Is it a literal representation of that, like, historical, narrative. No, I mean I think these are probably these are the newer ones that are made in Portugal, first of all. Um, and there are better hunting boots out there. Whether you're getting I think, what are they called? The Butcher or something, the Wood Butcher from Nick's. There's just, I struggle with hunting boots because, I don't really want to just wear kind of those like Loas or whatever, Kenrick or whatever those are called. Kind of the new, very tactical hunting boots, but also I'm not going to wear like a really nice heritage boot, especially if you're hunting in the late fall and you want to stay warm and waterproof. So you got to find that line. And these boots kind of hit a little bit of that line, except they're not waterproof, which sucks. Now I mentioned that this was a good representation of good clicking. And why is that? Okay. You probably know already, but let's talk about it anyway because it's fun. Look at all this, right? They're using much better parts of the cowhide for the toe, the front of the boot, right? The part that's, first of all, going to get the most abrasion and also it's going to be seen the most. This is where you should put a softer belly part of a cowhide. Now, you get a really nice pair of boots and you're not going to have any of that on your boot, okay? But for a boot like this, it's in the $300 range. This is, again, this could be soft. In fact, you could argue this is a smart place to put it because it's going to be more supple. The more natural creases in the hide, it's going to be, well, it's creasing like that because it's softer, looser grain. This is where you'd want to put it. Makes it just more flexible, more soft. No one's really seeing this. Your pants are covering it. And it's also getting the least, it's not getting a lot of abrasion. You're not getting a lot of dirt on there. So this was clicked by a very, very smart person. Someone's really, really good at their job. These boots feel like they were made, by just great craftspeople. The lip here is really beautiful. Backstay, great pull tabs, really, really nice size. You can fit 2 fingers in there, none of that, but it still folds up really nicely. Perfect, kind of thinner, but not too thin, But yeah, the big bulky ones, they just do that all the time. This is really, very, very great, timeless design. Heritage upland hunting boot. Now, back in the day, Browning actually did my G.H. Bass quail hunter boots. Goes deeply into the history of kind of this style of moccasin upland hunting boot. And yeah, go check that out if you like. Now, I did have a pair of leather laces on these that looked great, but I just found when I was hunting, they weren't right. In fact, these probably aren't right too. So you got these smaller eyelets. So I'm going to have to find the right laces that'll really grab onto them and just be streamlined and feel good. Again, there's that Filson tin cloth that's just kind of fun. Now, this is terrible, right? You have all this washer is just eating away, and you could see where it's starting to kind of hurt. I mean, look at that. That's all just from these washers, So all you're doing is just walking, but it's eating away at that. That's no good. There's lots of improvement to be made here, except they're not even making them anymore, so there will be no improvements. But you can just see the inside of that beautiful rough out. Very, very nice. Here's your Filson waxed tin cloth, lightly waxed, and then your internal components are just a leather topped foam insert, which is it's fine. It's whatever. Neither here nor there, but it's nice. It's certainly not the greatest. And then let's see if you can see. Oh, there's foam under there as well. There's foam over the lasting board. Yeah, really not the best components in these boots, but, not terrible. I imagine, it's going to be a nicer quality fiberboard, but, than some of the cheapest boots. But, I did not buy these boots thinking that they're made the way they should be made, And for that, you'd have to get a pair of Russell moccasins, and those are $700. You should be able to get a boot that's made really well for less. Maybe Goki's doing it. They've got their new Field and Streamline, which are really, really cool. Streamlined. Maybe we'll cover those boots eventually, but they don't look as cool as these. They really don't. These look cool. It's really comes down to that. You see how just messing around with them, the laces came out. Obviously there's nothing in them, but and they're not going to do that when you're actually walking, but I do got to find better laces for these. So there you go. These are my Filson Upland boots. I love these boots a lot. They're one of my favorite pairs, actually. And that's really what it comes down to. Are you enjoying wearing your boots? Do they feel great when you put them on? Do they remind you of your grandfather? Do they remind you of, going out to the cabin when you were a kid? Do they make you feel inspired to want to, like, when you put them on, you go, hey, let's go on an adventure. Let's kick it. Let's go down that dirt road. Let's throw the rod in the truck or the minivan or whatever you have, and, just get out into the outdoors. Boots are supposed to be romantic. They're supposed to inspire you. They're also just tools. But, especially in this kind of like boot nerd world, it's like, don't forget that. They're really just these amazing pieces of craftsmanship that should inspire you to go do things in real life and go have fun and get out of the house. So that's it. And that's really, that's why these are my favorite boots in a way, is they do that. They inspire me to like find a mountain and go hiking. They inspire me to get out into the woods and, follow, just take in that red-tailed hawk, really just appreciate all the critters that are in the outdoors or sharing this wonderful life with us. Anyway, hope you found this enjoyable. Hopefully it was a little bit helpful. I hope Filson brings these back. They're not the best bang for your buck boot by any means, but I love them, and I'm glad I have them. Okay, bye-bye.